Happy Thursday night, everybody. It's Wes Siler from Preserve Navarre Live, and I have Tommy Nichols in the house. Welcome, my good friend, Tommy. It's good to have you, buddy.
Good to be here, buddy. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. So Tommy, if you don't know, does this all the time, but I think this is one of your first times going live.
Yeah.
So
I'm nervous.
we got a little bit more lights and stuff like that. So, but Tommy's a professional at this, and always a pleasure to have you in the house, my friend. We've been doing this every Thursday, really for the past month or so.
Nice.
And it's going well. It's a fun thing to do. We get live people joining in. So for folks that are joining, looks like we got 5 or 6 folks that have already joined. Let us know if the sound is good. Let us know if the stream is coming through. Because we love to do this live. We love to get your comments and everything else. Looks like we've got our first comment coming in now saying the sound is good. That's great. That
awesome.
Really, I got to tell you, having the live part of this, Tommy, is a lot of fun because, as we're talking about stuff, we're getting feedback, in real time. We're getting people that are commenting, that are telling us, their thoughts and stuff about whatever we're discussing. And I know a lot of times you get those comments at the end of a video, or once you've put it out there. It's fun to get it live too. You know?
Yeah.
So
this is a good dive for me. So and probably it is going to be something that I'm going to be diving into here in the near future. We may talk about that a little bit later on. So I got to get used to going live. So
good. I'm glad we have the chance to trade secrets here,
right.
because Tommy's somebody. We're going to talk all about your background on this show, man, and Blue Collar Voice and everything that you do. But Tommy's become a very good friend of mine because I remember seeing your stuff when you first started getting out there doing this stuff, and I was so inspired by you, man. And seeing this guy out there interviewing people, getting the truth out there, getting both sides of a story was very inspiring to me. So
awesome.
it's been a good friendship.
At least I got one.
Yeah.
I inspired one person.
Well,
Awesome.
And then one of our sponsors is watching live, so Tom thought it was a good friend. And so Tom has provided a lot of the lights and stuff that you see here that really makes the production quality decent. So
appreciate it, Mr. Tom.
Yeah, it's awesome having some support for that. So and that's really what kind of helps us do this live is having sponsors like Tom, like Carmen, and some friends we both know, like her,
right.
and the Friends of the Veterans Treatment Court. So I always love to mention these before we kind of get into the meat of the show because it gives us a chance just to throw some light on some awesome things. So with the Veterans Treatment Court, I've interviewed Carmen, but I think you have too as well, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
you want to intro this? So can you give us a minute real quick on the Veterans Treatment Court and what that is?
Yeah, there's one in Escambia County already, one over in Okaloosa, but we do not have one here in Santa Rosa. Yes, our veterans that we do have, they are allowed to go over to Escambia County and get involved with theirs, but there's not one for our veterans, and that's due to a lot because forever they haven't been keeping up with the numbers of veterans at the Sheriff's Department, but now they are. So, and we have a lot of support behind it from the local level all the way at the state level. We just got oh man, I'm having a brain.
No, you're good. The whole point of this thing is the Veterans Treatment Court is for veterans who find themselves on the wrong side of the law. Do they get a specific process that takes into account some of the effects of their service, right? Like when, as someone who served, when you go through this process, a lot of times they will identify service-connected effects, right? Things that have happened to your health based upon serving overseas or wherever it happens to be. And did some of your service contribute to the place that you're at now, right?
Right.
And so the court takes it into account. And you're totally right. You're totally right, Tommy. That
I'm not on my phone, but I'm pulling up information from you guys.
Go for it.
Because
no, you're great, man. Because the treatment court that Carmen's proposing is something Santa Rosa County does not have, but we'd love to see because then you've got a specific court for Santa Rosa County veterans that's here local, right?
And it's going to be a great thing for our veterans. And also, I wanted to bring up something real quick since we're talking about it. It is something that we're looking for right now. They're called mentors. Okay?
Yes.
And I'm going to read out the 5 requirements right now and where you can send your information to. So if this sounds like you, we would love to have you come on board with us. But first off, there's 5 of them. 1, have an honorable discharge from the military. 2, provide 1-page resume. 3, provide a DD Form 214 for a court background check. Number 4, have a desire to work with a justice-involved veteran and meet with them once weekly. And 5, be willing to take the 2-hour online Veterans Court mentor training.
Yeah.
If this, if you want to be involved with it right here, guys, and you want to do this right here, we would love to have you. Send your information to Veterans Treatment Court, the number 4, SRC at Gmail, right there at the bottom of the screen. And we need as many as we can get. Especially if you're involved in law enforcement, if you're a corrections officer, former corrections, whatever, previous, or you're currently doing it, law enforcement, EMTs, anything like that you think that you could help out with, a former veteran, we'd love to have you.
Yep, absolutely. And obviously, Tommy's been involved in this. I think you helped Carmen with some logo ideas and came up with this. Mm-hmm. That's the memorial up there at Milton, right?
Yep.
And at the Veterans Memorial
exactly.
that they've got up there. That's awesome, man.
And
I love that.
I chose that because this is us right here. This is in our county. This is Santa Rosa County right here. So, and this is for our veterans. That's at the boardwalk up there in Milton, the Veterans Boardwalk Memorial.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be a perfect background for the logo. And it turned out great.
And it's this concept of service. Something that you and I have talked about before is the concept of service encompasses a whole lot of people, right? There's the people that have served overseas and everything like that. But I'm telling you, as someone who's done that, it means so much to have someone coming across that understands and is patient with us, that works to give back to the people who've taken, that opportunity to serve, doing stuff like that. People that get it, man, like it matters. And, everybody says, thanks for your service. Thanks for your service. This is one of those ways to take it to the next level.
Exactly.
And especially for those who need it most, right? Those veterans who, a lot of times it's PTSD, it's anxiety, it's things like that that lead them to a really dark place.
Yes,
and
it is.
Do we give up on them and just say, well, that's it, right?
No.
Or do we take into account the fact that it's possible that some of their service may contribute to this, at which point let's sort that out, right? So it's such a beautiful thing that she's doing, and that's exciting, man. That's great. I'm so glad you're involved in that. But yes, there's the email right there. If you're interested in being a mentor, businesses was another one that Carmen and I talked about, because they're trying to get them back on their feet, get them back into employment. That's another one to jump into.
If you're a business owner, like Wes just said, if you're a business owner and you would be willing to possibly employ these guys or help them out, we would love to have you on board as well. To those that are already, with us, thank you.
Yeah.
But we need more.
Yeah.
Okay. We're really going to make this thing work for our veterans who've already sacrificed for this nation.
Yeah.
We need as many as we can get. This is the least we can do to help them out, guys.
Yeah.
Anything I can do that's going to help our veterans, I'm going to be all over it.
Absolutely. So, we always love to hit up the sponsors and give them a shout out. The other thing we like to do is talk about local news. And I showed you this picture right before we went live.
Yeah, I thought it was fake.
What do you make of this? What do you make of this?
I thought it was fake. I was like, what the heck? I thought he was about to show me about the new Jaws movie or something coming out.
It's real life, man. So this was a great white shark that washed up on Navarre Beach. So let me know in the comments here if this is something that you've been following. So this was about a week ago.
Wow.
And this is just another day, like in Navarre. Like we have crazy stuff. We have crazy stuff like that, happen all the time. This is what you get in the South End. Yeah. So I love it when you make the trip down here and take a look. But it's unfortunate that the shark had died, and so it washed up on shore. But then we have to handle it correctly, things like that. It's something that locals know, right? Because we've been around and we've seen stuff like this happen, but pretty wild.
I could tell you some crazy stories about nights on shark fishing and everything. The first time I ever went, I could tell you, was with my cousin.
Yeah.
And it was at nighttime, and we're walking out, and I'm watching him, and you're shark fishing, and you're literally walking out till your head is only thing above water, and you just throw the line out. I'm thinking, somebody's going to get killed. And it's not going to be me. I'm not doing it. So I enjoyed watching the first time. And so I'm thinking, I'm not walking out neck deep while I'm shark fishing. Nope, sorry.
We got some comments. Chuck says, Jaws has come back to haunt us again. And it looks like we got some other folks joining in live as well now. Man, so I was fishing out about 10, 12 miles off Pensacola Bay, right? Mm-hmm. And we were just fishing and catching what we could get out there, right? Like whatever we can put some food on the table that night. And I did, at one point I did catch a shark, and it was like, you felt like you were in the power, like in the hands of greatness, right? Or in the jaws of greatness, because those things are so powerful and so strong. And like, I was able to hold them for a few seconds, a minute or two maybe, but like when that shark was done with me, it was game over. It was over. It was just like snapped it right off. It just goes to show
you how small you really are in this world. You know? We think we're the ones running the show. No, we're not.
not on Navarre Beach anyway.
No, heck no.
All right, so we got Robert's on here. He says, sounds good. Give Tommy our regards. Sarah is on here. That's awesome. Welcome, Sarah.
Hey, man.
And then someone had talked about your love for veterans because your dad is a veteran. And that's kind of goes back to it. I've told the story before. My cousin joined the Army and served overseas and all that stuff. And when he signed up, I went to his wife and I said, hey, thanks for your service. She's like, oh, no. It's your cousin Chris that's joining. And I'm like, no, you're joining too.
Exactly.
Right? And she didn't quite understand that, but a few months later she did.
Yep.
Right? And when she realized that, like, you served because your dad served, because part of the cost of that service, the sacrifice, is borne by the families too. Mm-hmm. Right? And so it's your chance to be part of that community, man. And then, so you already served in a big way by having your dad go through that, and then all the more to be doing this kind of stuff that we're talking about. So appreciate those comments.
Like you said, the family always gets forgotten about, sadly. It's always the veteran, and we're grateful and thankful for his and her service and commitment to the country. But at the same time, that family is, all the moves that you guys have to make in the military and all that. They're right there along for the ride as well.
Yeah.
So like you said, thank you, and for their service as well. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're off to the races here. We've already talked about veterans, service, and sharks. Like, that's Navarre. You got your dose of South End already.
Seriously.
The thing that I love talking to you about the most, man, is like, because you have this perspective from the north end of the county. Almost everybody that I interview is from Navarre, right? We tend to keep it local.
Right.
But, you're a local guy too, right up the road. I love getting your perspective, because then when we put it together, it's like we get the county-wide view of things.
Right.
And, there's so many opinions about Santa Rosa County and stuff, but one of my favorite things to talk about is the local heroes that we have. So when we talked about Carmen, we talked about what she's doing, how we're both a part of that and along for the ride on that. There's so many cool people in Navarre. There's so many cool people in the county.
Yes, absolutely.
Two of the ones that I love to focus on is Michael Carter, the NFL football player. I mean, what a role model, right? Like, I want my son to know that there's an NFL star out there playing, right? Like, hey, man, like, go to Navarre High. These are some of the things that you could grow up to be just like him. That's inspiring for all of us.
Yes.
And then we've already talked about military heroes. Rick Landers is one of my favorite ones to talk about, because, that guy did incredible things in special operations, and the legacy that he leaves for people in Navarre and Holly and this whole county is there. But I wanted to ask, excluding Navarre, because we talk about that a lot, who would you say, from your perspective, are some of the big heroes from the county? Because we're going to talk about blue collar voice and interviews and all the stuff that you do. But as someone who's been here and is in the know, who are some of the folks that you look up to?
There's a lot. We could literally spend this whole show going over people that made this county what it is. But me personally, the ones that I look up to and have literally my whole life, and one that got me doing what I do and got me involved from day one, from local politics and running campaigns and everything, that was my dad.
Yeah.
He was the chief and founder of the Santa Rosa County Creek Indian Tribe, served on pretty much every board there is in this county and across the state.
Yeah.
And I got to watch him and do all the stuff that he did from day one, and how he's helped this county all over, from the north end to the south end. This man could literally walk any part in any wooded area in this county and could take you and show you where property corners are, and without a map or anything. And it's absolutely amazing. And he just retired this past September, and now he's usually bored trying to find things to do. So him and Mr. Wayne Smiley have been doing a lot.
I need to have him on this show.
Yes,
that's what you're telling me. Like, he's next step.
Yep, you need to get Dad on it.
Yeah,
ASAP.
that'd be a lot of fun.
And as far as history goes,
Yeah.
he's one of the ones that can tell you the history of this county. Our family was one of the first in this county, and he can tell you literally from the start everything about it. Like I said, it is absolutely amazing to watch this man tell these stories and everything that he's done. It's blown my mind.
Yeah.
And if I can, accomplish 1/8 of the things that he's accomplished, I would consider my life a success.
That's
absolutely.
really cool, man.
Also, of course, my mother. Without my mom, she's been my rock from day one. I know I'm supposed to be talking about,
Oh, you're fine.
that,
Yeah.
but these are the ones that, inspired me and, got me going. And she's the one that always was there for me, always the one, pushing me onward and helping me. And, of course, my beautiful wife.
Yeah.
Without her, there's been so many times I've just gotten aggravated, said, I'm done. I'm done with all this garbage. I'm done dealing with all of it, and wanted to quit. And she just laugh at me.
Yeah.
You shut up. You're not quitting. You're not allowed to. And have pushed me onward. So without those three right there, I wouldn't be where I'm at.
See, that's amazing to me, because that's something that I learned from you, and that I get from our times hanging out together. Is for me, Santa Rosa County was something that I chose. I knew I wanted to live here from the first time I come down here as a teenager and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it was several years before I could actually make that happen.
Right.
And I'm trying to build a legacy with my wife for our kids and all that kind of stuff. But that's something that you got to experience.
Right.
That's really cool, man, is that you can look up at your parents and say, hey, this is an example for me to follow, right?
Right.
And something, and a legacy to continue. That's really, so for you,
Yeah.
Heroes is right next door, right? Like,
and like I said,
That's cool.
there's so many great individuals in this county that's done things throughout the history, and I could literally, and I'm going to end up doing that now that I brought it up. I'm going to do a show on that right there.
Yeah.
About the great folks that of this county. Like I said, we could literally spend hours talking about this and all their accomplishments that they've done for this county. But those two right there are the ones that really, pushed me and got me to where I'm at. And so,
and I see so many of those good people starting to work together more. Like,
yes,
that's why. And again, another reason like that we do a lot of the same stuff is trying to get those good people, like collaborating, sharing ideas, learning from each other, and all that stuff. But you mentioned good people, man. You're definitely one of them. I love I love this, man. Like you can tell that sneaky grin that this guy's going to be up to something. Like,
oh God, I was a hellion, that's for sure, man. Oh man.
That's such a good. So
my wife will tell you. She said every time somebody tells me about when you was a kid, you were just a devil. I'm like, they're lying. Oh man,
that's great, man. You got the tie, you got the shirt. You did what Mom said, but I can already tell that like you pulled a prank on someone the same day that this was taken.
Probably
like,
me and Sam was been fighting. I was probably beat up my brother right before.
So what were you like as a kid? Like I just gotta ask. Like maybe I should ask your dad when he's on the show next.
You should ask my mom.
Okay, all right.
I was hell on wheels.
Yeah,
is the nice version of the way to put it. My poor brother, how he survived and became a great success that he is in this county. And that's another one right there. Sam, my brother's a hero of mine.
Yeah.
Somebody that I look up to.
I think I got your family photo here. We can pull that up. There we go.
There he is right there.
Yeah.
Young Sam. Sam, has done a tremendous job for this county in his roles that he's played as well.
Yeah.
And that's all because of my dad there, and my mom. Those are the ones that set the standard for us and pushed us. And, watching Dad do all the things he did for the county, we wanted to follow in his footsteps. And we're trying to fill those huge shoes, and boy, oh boy, man. Like I said, huge shoes.
That's wonderful, man. Like that to me is inherited knowledge. That to me is inspiring. That's something special for you that like we talked about, people the transplants, the folks that move here, the folks that make this their home. We owe it to you guys who built this county, right? To learn from you and honor you guys for what you've done. So that's really cool, man. It's a beautiful photo. And then you did mention the wife, the boss, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I had a friend of mine. He's like, I call my wife the general, and I'm like, that sounds about right. Like,
Without that lady right there,
yeah,
ain't no telling where I'd be, honestly.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Yeah. So that was from
through thick and thin.
That was for me as well. Is we got down here. So my wife was from New Hampshire, okay, the live free or die crowd, right?
Right.
And her plan was always to go back up and move to New Hampshire. That's where she wanted to be from. And I was like, as a Southern guy, I'm like, you got to stay. Like, come on, you know, like South is where it's at.
Right, right.
And it took Navarre for her to make that decision. We tried Alabama. We did that for 3 years and stuff, and I loved it. But she was just like, yeah, it's all right. It's not right, quite me.
Right. It didn't
you
hit
know?
the spot yet.
So I took her down here for a vacation, and that
Game
did,
over
right?
right there.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason that I stayed, Tommy, is because, you know, I had opportunities in the military and stuff. Hey, do you want to go to D.C. or wherever? And I was like, no, because of the boss. I've got another chain of command, right? Like,
right.
And Catherine, my wife, was like, no, we want to stay. Like, this is where we want to raise our kids. We want to have the legacy that you and your family have built. I want my kids
right
to look 20, 30 years down the road and say, and man, I hope they can talk about me half as well as you just talked about your parents, right? Like, that's the hope.
They will, man.
So,
You're doing a good job.
That's you. I mean, that's you building the legacy right there, and she got some graphic design talent too.
Yeah,
Knows the hearts.
she's done a great job. And like
that's
you said,
great,
you hit it on the head right there. And my wife always tells me, a happy wife, happy life.
That's
and
right.
Dear God, is she right? do not. I've learned in the years that I've been married. What was I thinking? And then I'm thinking, at 1 minute I'm best thing ever. Next minute, am I stupid? What the heck's going on here?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's because of her, man. And she's the one that's pushed me and pushed me and pushed me, and inspired me, and keeps, won't let me quit when I want to quit.
It's very similar to like the voice of God in your life, right? Like when I'm high, like in terms of like, hey, I'm doing good things and I'm feeling great about myself, and I'm like, yeah, like life is going great. Mm-hmm. My wife is the person that humbles me a little bit. Be like, all right, Wes, bring it on down. And then when I'm low, right? When I'm low, like we did the water system election, I didn't win. I was like, dang it, I worked hard at that. Like they said a bunch of lies about me, and I'm feeling down. Guess who was there to pick me up, right?
Your wife.
My wife is this stabilizing force in my life. Like you talked about her being a rock. It's totally true. It's like,
it is 100%.
It's when you need that rock to stand on and to feel good about yourself, she's there. And then at the same time, it brings you down when you get too high and you start leaving Earth.
She's there to throw that rock at you as well. Oh, man.
Robert's asking if we're going to be talking about the First Amendment. We absolutely will, Robert. That's coming. But we've got to do the first things first. So what I do want to talk about before we get to the First Amendment conversation is I want to talk about blue collar voice. I want to talk about this because this was my first impression of you. It's like I didn't know who you were, but I saw this popping up on Facebook and everything else, and I was like, who's this guy doing blue collar voice? But I watched you do it. I've had the benefit, opportunity to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. But one of the things we've never really talked about is how did this actually start? Like, what was the motivating factor that said, hey, I'm going to go out and start Blue Collar Voice?
Well, it was a lot of things, honestly. The name came from something my dad used to always say: be the voice for the voices, and be the voice for those who, be the one to stand up for those who can't stand for themselves. Always look out for the blue collar people because they're the backbone of our country. So that's where the name comes from. But I don't know anything about journalism. Okay, I don't have a degree in anything like that. I got into this all on my own because everywhere you looked, there was, this paper over here was doing this channel over here was doing this, pushing one side of every story. There's always two sides, both sides. For example, we'll use Republican and Democrat, okay?
Sure.
And this paper over here is only pushing a Republican view, and this side over here is only pushing a Democrat view, and the same thing on the TV. There's never both sides right there, and I got aggravated with that because if I subscribe to only one paper or one TV, that's all I'm going to believe and the only thing I'm going to know. And the same thing for everybody. So there's going to be a division there. So I want to do something a little bit different and give everybody a chance, okay? I will sit down with anybody. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, whatever. You're an American. Especially, I started doing it with the political interviews and everything. I would sit down with anybody, not just the Republicans, not just the Democrats. No, you're running for local office. You deserve to be heard. I don't care if I think you're going to win or I don't think you're going to win. If I like you, I don't like you. I'm going to treat you just as fair and give you the same opportunities. And so I started doing that, giving everybody the same voice because, like we was talking about before we got recording, I'm trying to think of the right way to put this. Sorry. I know I said it great earlier, but now
you're good.
live.
Yeah.
I would like to get out. I'd like to give all sides right there.
Yeah.
Simply put the information out there, all the information out there, and then put it out there and let the citizens decide what to do with it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the way it should be. Not only put out this side over here or this candidate over here and talk good about this one and knock this candidate just because this one's a friend or this one sponsors me or I'm told to like this party. No,
Yeah.
give them all, put all of it out there. It's not for me to tell you, how to vote and how to think and everything.
Right.
No, that's your job. My job is to simply put all the information out there so you can be as informed as possible and make the best decision for yourself and your home. That's
Right.
the way it should be, and that's why I started.
Yeah. No, I love that, man, and that's what was so refreshing. Like watching your
called hell,
stuff
too.
is you would have these interviews and you leave it open and you let them talk, you let them get their information out. There's such an effort all the time. It feels like to manipulate, right? There's
Yeah.
always seemingly an effort, especially through social media and algorithms and everything else, to try to manipulate, and
Yes.
say, okay, hey, we want the working class to do this, or we want the working class to do that.
Right.
We're going to sit here and like hide the fine print, and then hope they don't see it, right? And see if we can prey on people
Right.
that are out there working their butts off every day and don't have all the time in the world to piece through all the information. Because like
Exactly.
you think about what's going on in Tallahassee or DC or whatever, and they got these long bills and they're pouring over them in committees and everything else. Ain't nobody got time for that around Santa Rosa
and that
County.
was one of the things, the first things I started doing right there.
Yeah.
Speaking of that is, I call it, I'm not going to say what I called it, but I made it simpler for all of us to understand and everything. For the regular person who's just in a hurry, so I try to break down the bills and make them easy to
Yeah.
understand. If you go back and watch some of the first videos, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm taking those big bills like you're talking about and breaking them down so a regular person like me can understand what the heck are these people talking about.
Yeah.
They do that for that reason. They don't want you to read that stuff.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it's
and that's
ridiculous.
Man, no, it inspires me because like that's how I want Preserve Navarre to be. Is we put our proposals out there, right? Like we put out the good news. Here's all the services that we want a city to do. We put out the bad news.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to cost you a little bit more. I've never said anything but that, right? Like you're going to have to pay. But I want people to wrestle with the truth,
Gotcha.
and I don't want to be some snake old car salesman that's trying to hide that from you. You know, and the
understand.
same thing for you is going through that because you're going to find the good and bad of any type of
Right.
policy or proposal, right? Nobody's perfect, right? You're
And-
going to
and-
find that about someone.
And see, and that's one of the things I've always, said about the whole Navarre city thing and everything is, and that's one thing you've always done is
Yeah.
that you put all the good and the bad out there.
Yeah.
You're not trying to sway it, put all the good stuff out there just so people will like it. No, you put
Yeah.
all the information out there and let them decide. Me personally, as it comes to what you guys should do, that's not for me to decide. That's your guys. This is your
Yeah, let
this is
them
your
choose.
baby right here.
Exactly.
But whatever you guys choose, for it or against it, I'll be there to support it no matter what because it's what the citizens chose to do.
That's right.
But
One
anyway,
of the so I've seen you interview guests across the spectrum. One of the ones that you've consistently interviewed is Joel Rudman, which is just so cool that we have the first state rep from Navarre, right? Like we've never had someone at that level from Navarre, and I think that it bears repeating that it's just so cool seeing you guys partner because here's a guy from Navarre who understands the challenges that we go through, but then here you are in the North End working with this guy. Hopefully educating him, I would think, on a lot of the North End issues because y'all
we've
got
had some
your share.
discussions, that's for sure.
One of the coolest things that he did, I mean, there's a lot, but one of the things that I've watched him do recently is navigating through the possibility of a North End water system. And rather
yeah.
than just kind of like blank check, go ahead, set it up, whatever, here's a 99-year contract like we have in the South End.
Yep.
He really spent time listening
Yes,
to
he
the
did.
different component
Yes, he did.
systems and taking their feedback and then trying to work to find some type of compromise. It's just so cool, and I know you guys were part of that. You guys were doing
Oh yeah,
interviews.
and I had plenty of those people reach out to me, and I sat down with quite a few of them. Sat down. The last one I sat down with was Coach Bell and Mark Lachlan, and discussed some things on it.
Yeah.
And Joel did. Joel does what he always does: is puts the citizens first, and listen to them many times. Different and. Yeah, that's one thing he's always done. He will talk with anybody. And when I say anybody, I mean anybody. He will listen to anybody, hear all sides, And that's somebody. That's what we need up there. He's
Yeah.
not just there to push an agenda or push certain bills through. No, that's not Joel. Not
Yeah.
one bit.
That's cool, man, that you're part of that too and what he's doing. So let's talk about free speech. We'll see if Robert says I'm old and doze off early. So the good news about this show, Robert, is you can always watch it the next day. We do record it and put it out.
I didn't mean to be
as
that
a
boring,
video.
Robert.
That's Robert. So,
No, I know.
But I want to talk about free speech because it's something that you and I talk about pretty often, and frankly is very controversial, right? When I still struggle to understand why it's controversial, but it is in Santa Rosa County. You would think, that is a largely conservative area, right? That people would understand and appreciate this, but it is because I constantly see efforts to shut down free speech. And the simple concept from the Bill of Rights is that people have the right to speak their mind. Like, imagine that.
Yeah.
Like, people have the right to form an opinion and to articulate it, right or wrong, left or right, conservative,
Right.
or liberal, Republican, Democrat. They have the right to say what they want to say. What a wild and crazy idea.
Yeah, one thing that I've always said is, I'm one of the ones like you, I'm sure. I will stand up for your right to say whatever you want to say, even if I don't like it or agree with it. I will stand up for your right to say it when other people attack you for saying it because you're an American citizen.
Yeah.
Okay? Even though I don't agree with what you may be saying or putting it out there, you're the one that's going to have to deal with the repercussions of
Right.
what you're saying. But I'm going to stand up for your right to say that. I'm not going to try to shut you down just because I don't like what you're saying or you're hurting my feelings. No.
Right.
No, you're an American citizen. Say what you're going to say. I'm going to stand there and help you and get that message out there. And that's another thing I've always done. I would let anybody put their message out there, whether I liked it or not. And that's
Right.
the way it should be. Like I said, at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to have to deal with what you're saying. But I would hope one day if I need to say something and somebody was knocking me down for saying it, I would hope that you would in turn return the favor of standing up for my right to say it.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be. Man, it's
But
aggravating.
there's constant controversies in Santa Rosa County
Yes.
over this. As you see people in positions of power, right? For example, we've got a county commissioner who's trying to sue a business owner because he's making fun of him, right? And it's just like, what? Like,
Okay, I know you're talking about.
Chris Smith, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Because he's, being satirical about
Right.
him and all that stuff, he's coming up after him, right? Like, we see often there is an effort to try to stamp out a person's free speech because we don't like what they're saying. And I deal with it, man. I get all kinds of people who are either misinformed about what we're trying to do, or they just have an opinion on it that's different than what I'm saying.
Right.
And they go out there and bash me and attack me and say all kinds of things that are untrue. Sure, it hurts your feelings.
Oh,
of
yeah,
course it
of
hurts
course,
your
you're a
feelings.
human being.
But again, that's their right. The difference is I've also got the right to clear my name and to defend myself. And
Right.
sometimes they hate that. Sometimes they can't stand that. Or
I
maybe
just want you to shut up and
Yeah.
take the beating and like the beating. No,
Right.
no, absolutely not. You have the right, like you said, to defend yourself just as they have the right to say it.
Yeah.
And you have the right to put the facts out there on it, and
Yeah.
that's the way it should be. They can say all they want, but don't get mad when I stand up and I defend myself about what you said or correct you on what you said.
Right.
You know.
Now, the challenge with it is not everybody's on the same playing field.
Right.
So when you get into journalism, like you were talking about, you get into newspapers and things like that.
Oh yeah.
All of a sudden, now one person's got a megaphone and the other person doesn't.
Right.
So help me with that because you've been doing this for a minute. How does that work? For journalists, for people that are doing what you're doing, is there a higher calling to that? Like, what is the left and rights of that? Are journalists and people that are interviewing folks, are you called to a higher standard in terms of truth and clarity and all that?
I don't know about them. Me personally, like I said, I believe my job is to simply put the information out there, treat everyone fairly, treat everyone the same, right down the middle. Don't sit there and push one agenda or push one idea, and knock another one just because you don't like the person or you're getting paid by this person or whatever. Simply put the information out there. Treat everyone the same. It's not that hard. Don't try to shove your agenda down people's throats and get them to like, who you like and hate who you hate.
Yeah.
Put the stuff out there. People are smart. They can see through a bunch of bull crap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
put all the information out there, treat everyone fairly, and let them decide, and let the cards fall where they're going to fall.
Right.
You know, good grief! Can you imagine if our media had done that from the top to the local level? Oh my goodness, you wouldn't have such
you'd never see photos like this, right? Because like with what I experienced down here, a lot of times is people try to go personally after someone. Right. They don't want to talk about policy. They don't want to talk about, hey, the pros and cons of this, that, and the other. They want to go personal for someone. And like for me specifically, it's always a partisan thing.
Right.
They know I'm military, so they know that, you know, there's boundaries for my freedom of speech because of my job.
Right.
They don't want stuff like this getting out. Because I'll tell you, man, you talk about your dad. One of the people who inspired me is that guy in the bottom right, Sam Johnson. He was a retired colonel from the Air Force. Amazing dude. He's a congressman from Texas. So he served in the Air Force. He was in Vietnam with John McCain and a bunch of other people in Hanoi.
Nice.
Survived, got out after 7 years, came up, you know, but came back to Texas, taught as an instructor, and then went up to D.C. to try to do some good. And that's where I met him, as I was going up there as a little intern trying to, you know, find a life for myself.
Right.
And ended up, you know, falling in love with that guy. He's just an amazing man who taught me so much, and that's me in my little ROTC uniform, because I was like, well, hey, if the Air Force puts out people like you, I want to be part of it,
I hear you.
And that was my journey, both military, both personal, and as a conservative, right? And what they do all the time with me is try to bash that, right? They want to go after me personally, and that's my point, Tommy. They have a right to do that.
Right.
It's not true.
Right.
Okay? And they run around saying, oh, you're a socialist or this, that, and the other. It's not true. But they have a right to say that. But I have a right to tell the truth, especially about myself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right? And that's where you trust and expect the people to see through it. So I appreciate you're one of those folks that can see through that stuff, man.
Well, you know, the thing is I've always said if you want to get to know somebody, sit down with them and talk to them one on one. You know, you'll learn quickly who they are and what they're about, and. All the stuff that I heard about you beforehand. Oh, he's a what I was told. He's a Democrat. He's a rhino. That's what it was. He's a rhino, and he's here to push a Democratic agenda. And I've heard that.
Ridiculous.
And then once I met you and got to talk with you, I'm thinking and see, you know, get to follow you around a little bit and see what you've done, everything, and get to know more about you. That's not true at all.
By your fruits you will know them. That's what I was taught.
You know, let your actions do your talking.
You know? So there's another component to this, because, you know, we have the ideal of free speech, which we've been talking. We have the rights that are afforded to every American. Okay, cool. Right. Then we have how should they be used? What is the repercussions, right? If you use your freedom of speech to tell lies, like, well, other people are going to come back and tell the truth. Cool.
Right.
Practically though, how does this work out? So let me ask your opinion on something like the public forum. Okay. Where would you open it up? Let's just say that Tommy Nichols was a commissioner and you were running the show up there. Would you just let people talk as long as they wanted to? Would you cap it? You know, would you put it at 4 minutes or 2 minutes? Practically, you're gonna let the meetings go till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. How do you do that? That's a tough question.
Right, it is, and I understand where, you know, a lot of people are coming from on that right there. But like you said, at the end of the day, you know, a meeting that is scheduled to start on Friday should not have to run all the way until Saturday morning, just so, you know, everybody can be heard. Everybody should know this is a public forum, public event. There's more than you just wanting to speak. You know, get your point across, say what you need to say, hit your talking points that you need to put out there, and let the next person get up there and speak their mind. That's the way I think it should be, you know. But a lot of times I see people go on rants and take it from, you know, a talking point to whatever that is, you know, calling names and everything. That's not the place for that, guys. When you're at those meetings right there, it never happens, but that's where you need to be your best. You know, you're in a public setting, you know, act like adults, you know, up there. When you're up there, you know, you want to do the name calling and all, that's not the right place or time. And that goes for our commissioners as well. You know, a bunch of kids at times up there, sadly. Grown men.
So, yeah, exactly. Like, this is where that right to free speech gets a little bit more complicated, but it's still there. And I'll give you an example. I've been in that room many times, and there's been a handful of times, not often, there's a handful of times that I've been excited about what has happened, what the commissioner has done. There've been some cool votes in there that have worked. There's been a whole lot of times where I've left very frustrated from Milton and have to drive all the way back from Navarre,
Right.
upset that they voted down this or they voted for something that they said they weren't or whatever, right?
Yeah.
There's been a couple of times where I didn't get the full chance to say everything I wanted to say in
Right.
whatever 3 or 4 minutes, but I walk out there and boom, take my phone out and I'm like, hey guys, this is what just happened. And much like you, I'll broadcast out a video saying, here's my perspective. And that's where technology kind of redeems itself a little
Right,
bit,
right.
is now we may not all have newspapers, but any one of us can pick up a phone and say, this
Exactly.
is how I feel. And Tommy, like, that's the inspiration that I get from you, that I'm trying to build, is like, we don't have to rely on all these traditional powers
No.
anymore. Like, right, we're doing this show here with a couple of sponsors and some lights
Right.
and getting our message out. Everybody can do that. If you're
Yep.
upset about something, well, then pick up your phone.
It's all
Do
free.
a video. Yeah, put it out there. We have the ability now
Yep.
for people to step up and speak their truth. They don't have to wait, right, to write some article in the newspaper unless they really want to do it that way.
Right. I
You know what I
mean,
mean?
and that's still an avenue that you can take, of
Yeah.
course. But like you said, was the first thing that I, when I got into it right here was, of course, Facebook. It's
Right.
free, everybody can use it. And I started doing the videos. I had no clue what I was doing. If you go back and watch some of my early videos, you can see how amateurish they are.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what I did. I would make
Yeah.
the videos, hit on the issues or whatever, and put it out there.
Yeah.
And we grew it to what it is now.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful because we have that, tool right there, and anybody can do it now. I know a lot of people don't want to do that, and that's fine. But that's why you need somebody. I'm not patting
Yeah.
myself on the shoulder by no means, but that's why you need people that like me that are putting all sides out there.
Right.
So you can get the truth no matter what.
Yeah.
And then you can decide what to do with it.
Yeah.
It's just I can't stand when only one, somebody tries to shove one side down your throat.
Right.
I think it gets so aggravating. And like I was going to say earlier,
Right.
The whole freedom, speaking your minds, freedom of speech, and all that. I got to bring it back to an interview that I done where I got beat over the head, and that was
Yeah.
with Rebecca Jones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I caught chaos for interviewing her.
Yeah.
How dare you give her a platform? How can you let her, come on here and do this, do that? First off, she's an American. She's running for office. Like I said, I may not agree with what she's saying or what she, is putting out there or whatever, but who am I to say that you can't?
Yeah.
Who am I not to, to try to muzzle you? That's not me. Shouldn't be nobody.
Right. Yeah.
And,
Well, and then
that's
here's the thing,
another
Tommy,
about
is-
standing up for freedom of speech, right there.
Yeah, here's the thing, Tommy, is that there's so many things in times in our lives where we do actually practice that, right? Like you go to church, right? And you're going to have people from multiple parties, right? Like
Right.
independents and things like that. You go to the grocery store, you're on the roads obeying the traffic signals, like hopefully, right? Like
Yeah.
we're out there in life and we can practice civility at times, right? But then people lose it when, hey, this person is being given a platform. But I'm the kind of person that would say, okay, we'll look at Matt Gaetz and we're going to look at Rebecca Jones. I would want to know everything about each person. And then, like, I trust that the person with the better ideas is going
Right.
to win, right? I trust that the person that is going to better lead this district is going to triumph over that. If you've got the stronger ideas,
Most of
then
all,
you should
I trust
those
our
ideas.
citizens to make the best choice.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with our city proposal, right? It's
Right.
like I trust people if they actually read through that thing and they work with us on us and they get to know us, that hey, they're going to see the benefits of this for Navarre, right?
Right.
Or ultimately they go through all that stuff and they say, no, cool, all right, you're informed, you made an informed choice, and I respect it. What I
Right.
get all the time is people who don't know the truth because they've been fed a bunch of lies. I
Gotcha.
get people saying it's going to be a mountain of taxes, it's going to be another layer of government, it's going to terrify you, it's going to destroy everyone. I'm like, literally
Right.
drive down the street to Gulf Breeze and see the fact that they're burying their power lines, that they're investing in their infrastructure, that they're supporting their small businesses. It is not communism in Gulf Breeze, okay? Like, the truth is right there. But people get so preyed upon
Right.
by an establishment with an ulterior motive, right, that only wants them to answer to them,
Gotcha.
right?
Gotcha.
That I have to undo all kinds of false assumptions
Right.
just to have a civilized discussion.
Right, and I understand, the questions and a lot of, concerns people and citizens have about,
Yeah.
the proposal and all that. But that's the thing. If you have a concern about anything, whether it be what you're doing or anything else, reach out, ask questions, sit down and have a conversation. Get informed, okay?
Right.
It's not that hard. All the information, every bit of information you want for anything is out there.
Yeah.
Do a little homework, do a little digging. Like I said, I'm not just talking about whatever what's the exact title you guys call it? Preserve Navarre?
Yeah.
Okay. Not just about Preserve Navarre, but anything. If you don't know, you don't knock it because you don't know and think you don't like it. Reach out, ask questions, sit down, have a conversation.
Yeah.
Get informed.
Yeah.
And if we all done that, wow.
Yeah.
I know I'm living a pipe dream, but still, it would be nice. But anyway.
No, it's great stuff. Tom says the First Amendment gives us a right to speak, but there is an inherent responsibility to cause no harm. We still must be respectful for others, even if they aren't. He's talking about responsibilities and
Right.
duties that are inherent with rights. It's an interesting concept. Is that it's that whole statement by Benjamin Franklin that it's a republic if you can keep it.
Right,
The people
right.
have. It's what you're talking about. Is that people have a responsibility to be informed, and I think the best way to do that, Tommy, is to have a variety of sources to get your information.
I
from.
agree.
I don't expect everybody to get their news from, us or me or
Right.
you, right? Like, look at a different, different
Exactly.
because you're going to
Look
see.
around.
Yeah,
Read
exactly, and put those ideas up, and let's have that debate and discussion
Exactly.
together.
And then at the end of the day, the best option is going to always come out. And what's the old saying? The cream is going to rise to the top.
Yeah.
And that's going to be true.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at the end of the day. If we always do that and all get informed and read all the sources and all that, or just read, you don't have to read all of them. Just a couple, heck, or just listen. And now you don't even have to read. Just hit play and sit back and listen.
Yeah.
It's not hard, guys.
Yeah.
That's all I ask, and that's why I do the political interviews. We interview
Right.
all of the local every candidate that's running for local office. We interview at least twice. We'll bring them in, do the initial interview where we sit down, get to know who they are, and then at the end, this is my favorite part right here. We'll bring all of those candidates running for a particular race in, okay? And I'll reach out to the citizens. I'll do a video, say, hey, give me your questions, comments, concerns for District 3 County Commission candidates, okay? Then we'll go through them. Last time in one of the races, we got over 300 questions.
That's
It was
awesome, man.
nuts.
That's awesome.
We had to go through there, pull out 15 questions, I believe it was. And these questions, those candidates are going to get asked the same question.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is we'll bring them in one day at a time, get them all done. Then once they're all done, we release them all at the same time. Speaking of fairness, that way nobody gets to see the one that come out and read the questions, get to hear it. No, it's all fair and square. Nobody's at advantage. Nobody's got a disadvantage. And how you answer those questions are going to tell the voters what they need to know. It's all
That's
about
right.
being as informed as possible.
Yeah.
That's why I do those interviews right there. It's not for me. I don't get a dime out of those interviews right there.
Right.
I do all those interviews for absolutely free because I want my citizens in this county to be, my fellow brothers and sisters, to be as informed as possible so they can
Yeah.
make the best choice for our home.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Just like
That's
I said,
wonderful, man. That's
be
that's
informed,
freaking
guys.
awesome. This is what I was so happy to have you on the show because I want people to see the why, right? Like you can go on his Facebook and your YouTube and subscribe, and I encourage you to do that. But do so knowing the why behind Tommy,
Yes,
why he
please.
does what he does, because that's what it comes down to for a lot of folks. Is you get all this information all the time. Who do you trust, right? Like,
right.
who's doing this and for what reason? Are they doing this
Exactly.
because they've got a whole bunch of people that are telling them what to say or who to push or whatever? Or is this person doing it out of the goodness of their heart, right?
Right.
Which is where you're coming from. And I see that in your interviews, and I
Exactly.
wanted other folks to see that. So
And that's
it's the why.
100% correct right there.
Yeah.
My job, I see it, is to help protect this county. Okay,
Yeah.
we were here from the start, and my job is to leave it better than the way I found it, and that's how I'm trying to protect it right there.
That's awesome,
just
man.
by doing that.
Yeah, that's
So,
the service that I keep
anyway.
talking about for you, man. That service. So really appreciate everybody who jumped onto the show. Got all the comments that came through here. Let me know if you have any last ones for Tommy Nichols. I'm sure we're going to be seeing each other again very soon.
yeah.
It's always a pleasure, man, when you come down here. So let folks know, how can they support you? I think one of the things that we've talked about is sponsorship and having businesses come alongside you and partner with what you're doing. People subscribing to your channel, like liking it on Facebook. What else? Am I missing anything?
I have a YouTube, but I don't really. I'm going to start using it again.
Yeah.
Mainly, I use it just to go in there and watch videos in the middle of the night. So, but anyway, I'm going to start using it, posting on there again. But Facebook is the easiest way right there, honestly.
Yeah.
You can find me on Facebook.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can pull it up real quick.
Yeah, it's Blue Collar Voice on there. Yep.
That's the page, but the easiest way to find it is my personal one, because I post to both of them when I post. But usually,
awesome.
Come on, home. There it is, right there.
Yeah, hold up to the camera right there. There you go. I don't know if it's probably not in focus. You have to hold it back a little bit. Cool.
I'll send it to you, and we get it out there. Also, we do I do a monthly paper as well. It's called the Santa Rosa. I love doing it. It's only me doing it, so it takes a little time to do it, and that's another place for sponsorship right there. And I love doing that right there. Yeah. Also, but the main thing is the interviews and the videos right there for unbiased content and fairness.
There you go. There you go. So
I'll definitely get that information so you can get out here to all your folks, and anybody that would like to come on board, I'd be honored to have you.
You bet. Yeah. So one of the things we don't really get too involved in with Preserve Navarre is because we're a nonprofit, we're not partisan. So we allow people, I don't ask people when they join, are you Republican, are you Democrat, or Libertarian, Independent? You just join, right? Exactly. Like as long as you're local and all that stuff. So I take a lot of hits from that from time to time because you should only let Republicans join. Well, I can't do that because I'm a nonprofit. Right. So we tend to stay out of a lot of the partisan issues. We simply want to make sure that what we propose is good for the locals. Right. However, with Blue Collar Voice, you're not bound by those same restrictions. Right. So you get into a lot more of those tough partisan issues, especially at a bigger level. So I think it's really interesting, following you as you do that. So if you're interested in what Tommy's doing, that's a great channel to support because I know you're going to get more into some of these races that are happening in the county in the future. We have some great events coming up for that too. So it's exciting, man.
We got like I said, I'm getting ready to, next week, I'll start back into the interviews, our intro interviews. I've already done a couple of the candidates that are running right now. We've already done a couple of those, but I got a lot more I've got to get done. I've got to get the paper, this month's paper, March's paper done as well, and get it ready to get out. No, it never stops. And then also the campaigns that I'm, helping with on that. Also, I wanted to bring up one more thing, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah, go for it. I'm
getting ready to announce an event that we're going to be trying to, put on right before the election. I want to do a little bit of a debate, like forum style thing for North Santa Rosa County. Sadly, there's not many options up there anymore, and a lot of citizens up there are left out of things like that. We're going to do it a little bit differently than a lot of the other forums debates that you see around the county, and I'll be putting information about that out there and how we're going to do things a little bit differently. And I'm really, really excited about that. Really looking forward to that. But I just wanted to tell you guys, be on the lookout for that right there. I'll get more into it later on. But,
that's awesome.
Anyway, follow me, guys. Check out everything that I'm doing. I appreciate Wes for having me on. This is an honor.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Yes,
thank
sir,
you for
buddy.
being here.
Absolutely,
so thanks everybody who joined in. Sarah said she's proud of you. So that's always a win. You made the boss happy. Thanks everybody for joining on the show. So we do this every Thursday night. So if there's guests that you recommend that you want us to interview, let me know. Love to interview locals from the county and especially from Navarre and kind of show people what's going on. Make sure you subscribe to our channel as well, Preserve Navarre on YouTube. Like us on Facebook. We've also got our website, preservenavarre.com. It's open for locals to join, get involved in our group, and continue great stuff like this with Tommy. So thanks again, buddy.
Absolutely.
And we'll see y'all next time.
Toodles, guys.